With that, we have all the Djinnies, including the Grand Djinns. Let me see if I can get them off recovery so I can more properly show off exactly how good they are. We've seen their battle effects, but I don't know if I actually showed off their stats. We've seen with how pure... Yeah, that's over 20 HP. And 2 luck, considering that most Djinns that we come across only give us 1 luck, if even that. That's a pretty solid drop just for putting that one on standby, in comparison to like something like Java, where the bump is much smaller. And that's the case with all the Grand Djinns in particular. I don't remember Filter being all of them like that. I could have sworn like I balanced it. Oh, well, I've been getting dropped in the class, so that's not even a good example. I'll put everyone on standby and then set Ivan. That'll be a better visual example. And then with 2, solid 3 luck isn't anything to complain about. Also, yeah, restores PP and may revive allies. No, that's not a typo. Shares a similar effect to its vanilla counterpart, but it's significantly stronger to the point of actually justifying how brutal the fight is. I kind of wonder, I'm kind of wondering if the intent was definitely to make Pyrid the strongest one in the bunch. I'm kind of wondering how much of that's actually the case. Because in all the playtesting, especially this one, it certainly felt like Dew was the harder Djinn. I'm sure we'll get... Before I end things off, I'll go back through Babi's Lighthouse and get the other item that we can get, because you have to basically leave here and come back. Now, I had thought for a millisecond of if I wanted to show off the rest of Void Island before taking on the final boss, but no, I specifically designed the game to function in a way where you don't have to go for Babi's Lighthouse. Or like I designed it in a way where you don't even have to have all the Grand Djinns in order to defeat the final boss. It's technically all that is optional. No, obviously the Grand Djinns make it easier, but it's not necessary. And now we play the waiting game of not being sure what to talk about because there's no one in chat to talk to, and none of this is definitely worth keeping. I'm probably just going to cut it all out anyways. I mean, as much as I should probably make sure a void is actually off. Great. Fantastic, I left it on during saving, which probably means that it is not working at this current state in time. Well, it actually went through both things correctly this time, so I can only assume that all is well. Now for just a long, semi-tedious task of backtracking through here. Just to make sure all this is well. Okay, yeah, this is a new path, so there should be a new item for us to get. After a few new puzzles to solve in the meantime. I mean, I say new, but it's kind of the same old, same old. Only real remarkable story I even really have to talk about while going through this is this general room of the Venus Lighthouse / Babi Lighthouse. Well, not this room specifically, but this general area. Was when I first discovered that Gale, when I really first discovered Gale as a synergy. It's kind of like near the end of the game. As you may have noticed through the playthrough, tri-elemental classes were really kind of tricky to get in Vanilla Golden Sun unless you have all the Djinns, so it wasn't really to this point in the game before I was really stumbling into the tri-elemental classes as a kid. And I have strong memories of this room in particular with the bushes here, because I think this is the first time that I actually used the Gale synergy. Like, I was messing around my classes, pulled up the ninja class, and in Vanilla Golden Sun you get a synergy called Gale, which functions just like Whirlwind outside of battle, as one of the few synergies that are like, it's a completely different synergy, but it has a similar purpose. And granted, because it's technically optional, because it behaves the same way as Whirlwind, it really caught my guard because it has its own sprite separate from Gus. Or, my bad, Whirlwind. I found the Gale synergy on the ninja class by complete accident, and there was a sense of childhood wonder and fascination of just, oh, cool, I discovered a new synergy! Because the game's not really going to point out to you, because unlike Whirlwind, and even like Growth, like, even though Growth is technically optional, it's very easy to stumble into by accident. Meanwhile, a synergy like Gale is exclusive to a tri-elemental class, so I didn't discover it until very late, the very end of the game. So it was really fascinating to have a new synergy to play around with, and this room in particular was the first time I used it, because I was trying to figure out, oh, it's this brand new synergy, I wonder if I could do, what sort of puzzle, it lets me use it outside of battle, what sort of puzzles can I solve? And I saw it was like another Whirlwind, and I was like, oh, cool! That's like one of the charms of, granted, an outdated system of Golden Sun. Like, the fact that you can just stumble upon these alternations of synergies just from messing around with classes was pretty fun growing up. As I got older, though, it kind of became more of a... It kind of got more tedious and fun the older I got. But it's kind of like something I'm always conflicted about when I go for the concept of making utility synergy available by default. There was a fun sense of discovery the first time going around. The issue is that it's just it. Once you discover it, it's kind of more tedious and hard to have to mess around with your classes, especially when you have a particular class in mind in battle, just to be able to do some synergies. Just to have to mess around with the classes, just to get one synergy to solve one puzzle, and then you would, if you wanted to use your original class outside of battle, you have to mess around with the class again to set it back to normal. You know, that kind of reminded me of an idea of a way you could get around that. Because this is a problem too in Lost Age. Some would argue that it's emphasized in Lost Age because you're using a wider variety of synergy. You may have noticed in here that, like, dungeons don't feel kind of basic when it comes to synergy solving puzzles. Like, most of the time is use move to push blocks, or use the synergy you just got in the last dungeon in this one, and simple stuff like that. Lost Age kind of emphasized. In Lost Age, however, there's a lot more mixing and matching with synergy puzzles. Like, there's one dungeon in particular I can think of where you use both Whirlwind and Growth. Growth actually being a required synergy for the first time in Lost Age, even though, like, it's never really forced. you have to have particular class setups in a vanilla experience in order to get to that. Okay, that's a normal room, so this is probably the one we gotta go into. Wow, time really flies. Kinda a shame because I was just starting to really get into this story too. Guess the only thing, I was almost at the end though. It's basically gonna say playing like Black Pit. Sorry, I just have, every time I say Black Pit or Dark Star, I have to do a second take in my head just to make sure I don't accidentally say Black Pit when I mean Dark Star, or say Dark Star when I mean Black Pit, or worse, say something like Dark Pit, or I don't think I ever said Black Star, but possibility I guess. Also, I just realized I climbed all the way back up to Venus Lighthouse without healing my synergy after the Dew fight. Cool. Tangent aside, there was a point I was trying to get at. In Black Pit, you kind of run into a similar situation where there's like all these different badge combinations, and L. Dexter, the maker of the mod, actually put in a system where to get around that, like create like this. How do I even describe it? Like a default, like in a trading card, like in some trading card video games, like you can set up multiple decks. He had a system like that for the badges in Paper Mario. It's a little tricky to try to think of what I'm trying to think of, while making sure I don't die to the enemies, because even though they're regular enemies, I feel like I could, if I take them for granted, or I could easily get overwhelmed. Oh, L. Dexter called them badge belts, I believe, and it's just like, you can set up, if you have a combination of badges you like, you can just set it. You can set up custom badge lineups, like you can just, can't believe I'm struggling to remember the thing. But if there's this badge setup you really like, you can like set it to a button in the badge menu, and then like swap between different badge setups in a single button. Like there's various presets that you can assign to these badge belts, and then you can swap between them. Oh, that's it. Like you can swap them. You can press one of the D-pad buttons outside the menu and swap between your different badge combinations outside said badge menu. And the more I think about it, the more I think a system like that in Golden Sun would actually be incredibly helpful. If you could have like, it'd be a way to get around the whole concept of, it'd be a way to have the best end of both worlds when it comes to Djinns. Like the sense of synergy discovery while messing through the setups, while trying to avoid some of the annoyance of swapping between multiple synergies. Granted, like there's definitely better ways to get around the whole synergy system in general. I came up with an idea of it for Overseer of the Elements. I've probably posted a picture of it a couple times, but it'd be a long story to get to it in words. So if I remember, maybe that'll be a story for another time. But like, I came up with some ideas of completely renovating the whole synergy system altogether, because like, honestly, the whole concept of going into your menu every time just to select a Djinn, or I mean just to select a synergy to use in battle, there's a lot of ways that in particular could be improved. And the concept of some synergies being locked behind certain class setups is only an extra layer of tedium on top of that. Speaking of Paper Mario, we're not even about an hour in, so wonder if anyone would be down for if I actually did the stream I said I was going to do today and swap on over to Infinite Pit. I was thinking of only doing one floor of Infinite Pit anyways. And at least now we'll definitely be next time we do the stream, we'll definitely be well set to actually take on the final boss by... Oh, I did the thing. Alternatively, I could just do the Venus Lighthouse now, start off the final battle on the following stream, because while it's not terrible to try to set up for Infinite Pit, I mean, it will take a little time to swap between the two, so the temptation is there. Plus, I can tell more Golden Sun stories, and it feels like I haven't had too many opportunities to do that. Also, since it's like the last... Since this is the last room, or like this is the last... This was technically... By some technical standards, I would consider the Babi Lighthouse and the Venus Lighthouse we first went into, the Babi Lighthouse that we were in earlier up to this point, and then this part of the Venus Lighthouse, 3 different dungeons. And since like this is technically the last dungeon, last set of random encounters the game offers, this will be the last chance to show off some new djinns. Or I mean some new monsters. I think we've seen... I can't remember if we came across the Lily list already, but the Blizzard is definitely new. Actually, I think, like, there's a small chance that even the Grand Golem is new, but that'd be a bit of a stretch. Out of all the random monsters, I feel like I have the strongest memory of these ones in particular. Probably because I spent the most time on them, but it's been a while, so it's hard to remember exactly for sure how it went down. But you can definitely... From the concept that I came up with, like, a whole new item just to give to that one enemy that dropped it, and stuff like that. You can definitely tell I had some fun with enemies in this area. I'm sure we'll see plenty of Lily Whips so I can get more into their gimmicks next time. The lizard there is basically just like an earth elemental. I really try to round it out so there would be enemies of every element for this final dungeon in particular, forcing you to make use of all types of synergy and djinns along the way. And now they're all gone, so I guess we'll have to wait until another day. I'm not gonna lie, this thing is holding up pretty well, a bit better than I remember. Maybe I should have been going for some of these djinns sooner instead of just like... spamming basic attacks, assuming that it would have been down by now. Oh, hindsight 2020, I suppose? There we go. Ah! This is a new drop, and I wasn't expecting to get it. But we did! Also, I'm guessing the Oracle Orb was... The Oracle Robe was something dropped. And I just haven't had a chance to play around with. As fun as the Ninja Cloak is... This is pretty better. The defense on this is pretty better. And I kind of wish I had this. Remember, I had this item before going into the fight with the Mercury Grand Djinn, but it is what it is, I suppose. Oh, I got so caught up in things, I forgot to actually set up Grand Djinns for that final area. Like, Bane in particular I know I want for the final stretch. But it's really worth climbing through all this all over again just to get... screw it. I can use Retreat if I really want to. I'll feel kind of bad if I don't go into with the Djinn that I have it made for. Yeah. At least I can cut it out on the YouTube end, but I do feel bad for the viewers that are coming in, but we can pass the time together if anyone's watching and wants to kill the time with some questions. I did make this mod, so any questions you have about Dawn of Djinn, I'm happy to answer, especially during this intermission that I got nothing else to do. I would talk about the Overseer Elements thing, but I kind of wanted to save it for actually for the video itself. You know, let me hydrate a little bit and maybe I'll tell some stories about other stuff. Well, I got so caught up in everything, I completely glanced over the whole Golem Gloves thing. Earth Gloves, used to slow, so it basically... We basically got slow as an item now. So, it doesn't really seem too remarkable besides that. It is a little bit of... It's a bit of downgrade for... Isaac. Surprisingly, it's an upgrade for Ivan, though. Shame we didn't really get to play around with the Lullaby ink too much. I guess we did see its Unleashed used in one battle, so I'll settle with that. Oh, that's right, our Pixie Ring kinda ran out in that last battle too. All the more reason to backtrack here. I would've... Yeah... If we didn't come back here now, then I wouldn't have even noticed that the Pixie Ring was broken until we were just about to fight the final boss, and then it'd be like, oh, come on! Something like that. Nah. Alright, let's clean up some item inventory, because I'm sure we're gonna get some stuff that we'll want to play around with later on down the line anyways. I just realized the Lullaby staff would have been stronger than the Storm staff, wouldn't have it? I would say the Elton Water is just clogging up our inventory at this point, but at least we can just check. Lullaby staff seems to be a little bit of a... Or Lullaby ink. Oh, it's not strong in the Storm staff, but it would give us synergy recovery. I feel like with all the Djinns we got those, I won't be hurting for synergy recovery too bad. Now for the place that I actually want to go. I mean, I may as well restock on the nuts while I'm here.